Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the All Things Good podcast. I'm your coach and your host, Giovanna Cirillo. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast that helps you with mental health, self development, and your overall wellness, helping you become the greatest version of yourself. Before we go into today's topic and today's discussion with Andreea, I want to share some good news. If you do not know, the podcast is expanding. Any topic that you can think of is what I want to have on this platform. The title of this podcast is All Things Good, and so therefore I want all things to be within this network, within this show. And so I'm excited about that. So you'll be seeing more episodes on spirituality, science, land, things of that sort. So that's one good news. The second thing is I am now a radio show host for 88.5 FM radio between 3 to 6 a.m. And my show is called Soul Before Sunrise. So if you are not in the Tampa area or Florida, then you can always listen in and tune in by going to WMNF.org and checking out the show. Today, we're going to be talking to Andreea, who is an NLP practitioner. She's a life coach, and she's always understood the mind. She's always understood the responsibility of the mind. But something began to shift in her life when she began to encounter family constellations. What is family constellations? What does that include? What is that about? We're going to find out today with Andreea. She's going to give us the breakdown of what it looks like, what it is, and the benefits of family constellation. So help me by welcoming Andreea. Welcome, Andreea. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing good. I am doing good. I'm doing great. I'm excited about today's topic and conversation because honestly, I know nothing about this. And so it's going to be new to me. So just bear with me if it takes me a while to understand it, okay?
Absolutely. That's why I'm here, to make
Right.
it more known for everyone.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so tell us, what exactly is family constellations?
So family constellations don't have a definition, okay? It's hard to explain what we do. It is, I would define it as a healing method where we look beyond what's in front of us and we look at our soul, our family soul, and we look at the love that sits behind the loyalties that we have towards our family system.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. The love and loyalty. Wow.
Mm.
Okay, so what actually drew you to this line of work? Like, was there a moment in your life that you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna start this,
Well,
or something that took place?
uh, I've been on this self-improvement journey for over 20 years now. And I remember actually almost 20 years ago, watching The Secret, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. You can manifest things, I can improve my life. And that's how
Right.
I started on this journey.
Okay.
More structured, it was probably in the last 10 years, where for me the main driver was my anxiety. I
Mm,
didn't want to recognize it as anxiety, but it was anxiety. It was that feeling that something is wrong all the time.
mm,
There was a mixture of anxiety, panic, terror, fear, a lot of fear, and I just couldn't pinpoint it. So I started educating myself from NLP, hypnotherapy, all sorts of psychology courses, all sorts of healing methodology, shadow work, you name it. You
right.
name it, I have a degree or a certification in it. Yeah, life coaching, business coaching, all of that. And still, this wouldn't move, it would be like okay for a day or two, or maybe I just didn't pay attention, but it would come back, and sometimes it would come back so bad. And then I found Anca Maftei. She's a Romanian teacher. in this, and she has a 1 year academy, online academy, which I did, which was absolutely amazing. That's where I
Mm.
found constellations. And then but it was all online.
Okay.
And then I found my second mentor that I'm currently finishing my second certification with, and I attended a live in-person workshop,
Mm.
constellation workshop. And what I felt there was beyond words. It was something that moved through me. And also I released something. I don't know what I can't even remember what the constellations were about. All I remember, I was crying a lot. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, I was absolutely exhausted emotionally, physically. But somehow the peace that I felt after that workshop, I was like, this is my purpose, this is my meaning. I have to know how to do this, and
Right.
how to um because it's one thing online, you can still do it online and get results, but being in that room and being in that energy field, it absolutely blew me off. So then and there, I signed up for her next class, and then like 6 months later, I started my 2 year course with her. So
Awesome.
that's how I
Awesome.
ended up here.
That's awesome. Okay, so you found there were some things, you mentioned anxiety. So you found that there were some things that life coaching, NLP, certain things that, that you already were certified in or maybe had training in that were not working.
Mm,
So you felt the need to go beyond a little further, more into the spiritual realm, right?
yes.
And so from there, that is when you discovered that, some things are good for mental health, some things are good for life coaching, some things are good for NLP, but some things need to go just a bit deeper.
Yes. Because not everything starts with us.
Mm.
My fear, the fear that I felt until a couple of months ago, when I finally completed that journey, was actually my mom's fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it was her fear of dying. I have a twin sister, so we were twins. It was, you know, we were premature. She could have died, we could have died. And before us, it was my brother, and she was hospitalized because she had tuberculosis with my brother.
Okay.
So she was at risk of dying with him also.
Wow.
So that fear, because everything that our mother feels, impregnates in us, in our DNA, in our structure. So that fear was actually the fear of dying, but it wasn't mine. It was my mother's, because I was never pregnant. I didn't ever thought that I'm going to lose my life in a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably not even hers, it was her mother's, because her mother had, I know of at least one birth where she lost the baby at birth. So that kind of, we call it generational trauma. Um,
Right.
I would say more of generational pain.
Mm.
It moves through the family system. It moves through our grandparents to our parents, and from our parents to us. And we are now in a position where we don't have to be in survival mode 24/7. We have electricity, we have water, we have internet, we have grocery stores. We don't have to go and work in the fields 24/7 to provide for us.
Right.
And we are the ones that have the possibility to look at all of this and close those circles of pain.
Yes. I love that. And I
Did
love the
that
fact that
answer
you,
your question? I went on a tangent there.
oh no, it did. And it actually answered my next question was, about it not starting with us, that it starts, prior to us. And I love the fact that you mentioned your mother's story, and I do apologize that she went through that, but it's so important because you mentioned in her womb is when the fear began to, I would say, transfer onto you guys unknowingly, right? And so I've
Yes.
learned that maybe about 2 years ago that, when we're pregnant, everything that we feel, the baby feels. And, I mean, obviously it sounds, you know, I guess it sounds, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mhm.
It sounds like people should know this, right? But in reality, people don't know this. They think that they can just have anger. They think that they can argue. They think that they can do all these things
Mm,
while they're pregnant, not even understanding the reality of what it's creating within our womb, within our children. And I say that because my daughter has anxiety. It's a little, for me, it's overwhelming for me because I've never known anxiety in this way. Um, and I had to quit. I'm like, God, where did this anxiety come from? Because I don't see anyone else in my family, with it. Maybe
mm,
I don't know if it's on her father's side, but or no one really admits it, right? About this anxiety.
mm,
So I'm like, there has to be something that I went through when I was pregnant with her, where maybe we were arguing, maybe there were so many things that I did that created this, that shook up the womb to
mm.
make her feel so, anxious at times.
Yeah, but you need to realize that okay, maybe um it's not yours, maybe it's not even your mother's,
Hmm.
maybe it's her mother's,
Hmm.
maybe it's your grandma or your grandma
Right.
anxiety or fear. Yeah. Um I work the constellation for a symptom. And it I think it was the fourth generation back where the issue was for that
Mm.
symptom for that child. So it obviously we look at immediate family, but there are layers behind us.
Okay.
And the more that event wasn't acknowledged, wasn't spoken about, nobody honored that person, the more the strength of the symptom that comes forth to be acknowledged.
Okay.
That's why they come. So we can acknowledge and look beyond what's there. Because what is there is love, love
Mm.
and loyalty for that family member.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Now, you mentioned that your theme was anxiety. Now, what is the most common theme that you've seen with the clients that you have worked with?
A universal one, or almost universal. And again, I went through it. And I have a sign for it also because I wasn't paying attention and the universe had to smack me properly
Oh, wow.
to pay attention is as children, our love for our parents is beyond words, is infinite. My mentor, and I agree with her, says that the children love their parents more than the parents love their children.
Hmm.
Why is that? Because when we are children, and now we know that our brain fully develops around 25 years, so that's when
Right.
we exit adolescence. Yeah, 25 years. When we are children and we don't have the resources, we don't have the brain developed to deal with life and situations. When we see our parents suffering, we have blind love,
Mm.
and we want to save our parents, save them from their faith, save them from their pain, save them from their partners, from their parents, from the world, from whatever. We want to save them because our survival depends on them. So if
Right.
they are alive, then we are alive. Yeah. So there are a couple of layers there. And we all have this on one level or another, or multiple layers, where we want to save them. And because we want to save them, we take their dignity.
Mm.
They came here before us. They are bigger than us. They are the adults. They need to handle their life and their situation and their destiny. And we should not get involved in that. But we don't
Mm.
know that because we're children and we're like, Mommy, please don't cry. I don't want to see you upset. Yeah. And we want to save them. And because we want to save them, we make ourselves bigger. And it's very funny because my mentor she's a pediatric doctor. So she went through all this journey from um, questioning why these absolutely horrible things happen to little babies. Yeah.
Mm.
When you see
Yeah.
like cancers in like 6 months old or 1 year old, like you can't have a biological uh cause. Yeah, they didn't smoke, they didn't do drugs, they weren't stressed, they like all of these causes just
Mm.
disappear.
Right.
So that's how she started this, because she wanted to know what is beyond those symptoms. Why do
Wow.
they get sick? And this happens on a soul level, and it happens without us being even aware that we are trying to do it. That's why awareness is so important. Yeah. Even, when you're trying to educate your parents, and here's a book, and here's a podcast, and here's that, and here's that. What are you trying to do? You're trying to teach them. Yeah. Who teaches who? The parents are teaching the children, not the other way around. Yeah. You can have a discussion about it and say, hey, this is what I learned, if they're interested, but not force that on them. Yeah. So there
Right.
are so many subtle ways where we do that. And yeah, it's blind love. It's one of the, probably comes up in all constellations, the blind love for parents to save them.
Mm. Okay, so that is a common theme that you see. I would think that it would be the opposite, where people are like, I'm so mad at my mom or so mad at my dad. But they're actually in a place where they're trying to save them because they're probably awake, and maybe they have some growing and healing to do. So, what kind of friction would you say that creates in a family dynamic if you have someone who, like, say, for instance, wants their mom or dad to think differently, to live more healthy and be more present and aware? Do you think there's a friction that's created within the family dynamic or the soul
Oh,
dynamic?
absolutely. 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 That parent is not happy that their children are trying to boss them around. They're like, hey, I gave birth to you, you know,
Right.
like I'm telling you what to do, not the other way around. Um, and it, let me put it this way. Nobody had a perfect childhood. We
Right.
all come with traumas from childhood, because it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter the event that happens. You don't have to be bitten, um, um, abused, malnourished, I don't know, all of these horrible things for you to have a trauma. A trauma can be for a child in a supermarket where the mom says, come on, let's go. And you're like, no, I want to stay here. And they're like, okay, I'm going to leave you here. Call me when you're ready. That's a trauma
Right.
that can be internalized as a trauma, to put it more. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter the events, it matters how we internalize those words, those situations, those events. So we all come with our baggage. From our mind, our adult mind, what we want is control.
Mm.
That's why we try to control our parents,
Yes.
and that's why the parents try to control the children. Yeah, that's where the friction comes. I need them to be like this because I want to control an outcome. Yeah, I want them to be healthy because I don't want them to die. Because if they die, what am I going to do? It's the fear of me being alone in the world without them. It's not that they're going to die. Yeah. So those kind of friction, I'm going to be super honest with you. Healing the relationships with our mothers and our fathers are the hardest two relationships
Mm.
that we need to reconcile in our life. I've been on this journey for a couple of years, and I would like to say that I'm done, but I know there's like another layer that I
Right.
need to reach. If I'm being totally honest with me. Yeah, because it's layer after layer after layer. But when we relinquish that control, they are who they are, and just not necessarily accept, be in agreement that they did their best. It's their life, their decisions, their consequences, and you're going to have to deal with whatever comes along. You know, they can have the healthiest life and listen to you, and then I don't know, a bus goes and crushes them. I don't know. They have a
Oh my
car
God.
accident. Life happens. You can't
Yeah.
predict. You can't. So it's always about control when we work with our mind. When we work with our soul, it's a totally different story. When we see the greatness of our parents and the price that they paid to make us.
So good. So good because I'm thinking, and obviously the mind is the ego. It's, trying to control, trying to make something better. But our parents have been this way for so long that it's almost like it's not that it's impossible, but it's just going to take a lot more work, right? And then you said there's the mind and then there's the soul. And sometimes, maybe some people are just willing. It's all about willingness, right?
Mm.
But then you mentioned the soul, and the soul, when you heard that, all I heard was just love them. Just love them regardless of, show love to them regardless of what they may look like in their present state. What do you think about that?
When I think about my parents, my father died almost 20 years ago.
Mm.
But when I think about my parents, I think about them young, before they had me. And I'm thinking, what are the chances that they met in this big wide world and they loved each other so much to have children for me to come into this world? I am here because of them. If
Right.
they didn't make love in that night or day or whenever they did it and where they did it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't, I couldn't even complain that I'm here if it wasn't for them. And only for that fact that they loved each other and they created me, I came into this world.
Yes.
And that's it. End of story. Everything else, it's our mind. Oh yeah, but they didn't do that, and they they said this, and they didn't treat me right, and he drank, and she did drugs, and those are all the stories. It's only stories. Is how they dealt with their life. I can only deal with my life now, and my life, I need in because I am alive. I need to recognize their, I don't have another word for it, their greatness, that I'm here.
I love that. I love that. Their purpose was to create you. I'm not saying that that's all they were created for, but because of their love, they created you. And
Exactly.
you're just telling our listeners to have a perspective that it doesn't, not negating anyone's story, not overlooking anyone's pain, but when it comes down to it, at the end of it all, you are here because of them. And so,
Exactly.
just taking that mindset perspective, like shifting the mindset to just say, you did what you did, and regardless of what, I'm here. I am a better version that you may have been, and it's not out of pride or ego, but you know, everything led to this very
We
moment.
we are the best version of them.
Mm, I like that.
We are the best version of them. And a lot of people, and I see it online, and to be honest, I can't even sometimes. We talk about trauma and generational trauma and how to deal with narcissistic parents and narcissistic mothers and all of that, which is there. I don't deny that. I don't deny the negative effects of behaviors. But what I don't see out there is how amazing it is that I am here because they were here.
Hmm.
How amazing it is that I am the way I am because they are the way they are. If they would have been different, I would have been different.
Right.
And those are the gifts that we have received and we don't acknowledge. And because we don't acknowledge them, we crave to be seen. That's all that we're looking, all of us, we are looking for that. We are looking to be seen and heard by our mothers and our fathers, by our parents. That's all that we want. But we want that at a soul level, not just, you know, a glimpse across the room.
I love
We
that.
want soul to soul.
Yes.
And that's what we do in constellation. In constellations, we bring our clients' parents back into their soul and
Mm,
into their hearts so they
awesome.
can see their greatness.
I love that. I love that, Andrea. So let's talk about that process a little bit. You said you're bringing the parents back into their soul.
Mm.
Talk about that. Talk about what that looks like, what it feels like in real life. Like, what are you seeing? What are they seeing? What are they experiencing? Tell us about that process.
If you can imagine, and I think I'm going to do a meditation on this at some point. If you can imagine your heart like a rose, yeah, and you're asking your rose to open up to receive love, yeah. In the middle of that rose, we have a diamond, and it's our essence from
Mm,
our creator, God, creator, whatever you want to call it. Now, from this diamond in this rose, there are two golden threads that are going out, and each thread is attached to the diamond inside the heart of your parents. One for your father, one for your mother. When you can see and feel that connection, and through those threads, receive the life, the love, the support that they gave us, That's when you take them into your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a feeling of, I don't have one better, I would say gratitude, but it's better than that.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling is like your whole body vibrates, every single cell in you vibrates and vibrates with energy and with excitement and gratitude, but at the same time there's also certainty that no matter what, they are there with you. And that brings a peace that can't even be expressed in words. Now, let me be honest, this is not an easy process, because to get there, we need to break the monkey, because the monkey is always going to come with the story.
All right.
Yeah, what they did and what they didn't do for us. But there are ways, and it's not easy. But we have to say yes. Yes, with courage. Yes, with willingness. Yes, with compassion. Compassion for them and compassion for us, and kindness. And that's how it feels like when you have your parents in your heart.
I love that. Compassion is a big thing. Uh, Once we start to have like that understanding, like they are only human just as we are, right? We're gonna make mistakes. We don't come here knowing everything. And I'm not saying we're only human, we're obviously spirit and soul, but we make mistakes. This is a learning process for every single one of us.
Mm.
And so, with that understanding, that begins to bring a compassion to our parents and even those who hurt us. It doesn't have to be our parents, it can be, our relationships. People are doing what they know, you know?
Absolutely. I always say we all do the best with what we have in that moment. Was I stupid 10 years ago or 15 years ago in I don't know what relationship or I don't know what situation? Absolutely. But do I have compassion for that version of me that didn't know
Mhm.
any better? Hell yes. Because I'm not going to put myself down. But if I have compassion with me now, because I have the sight, yeah, and I have the knowledge and I know it was a
Right.
bad decision or a bad situation, I need to apply the same to them. They didn't woke up in the morning thinking, how can I traumatize my child today? Let's see. Nobody wakes up like that. Nobody wants that. We all do the best that we can. And for the mothers that are out there that have children and know how hard it is to raise them, to instill those, kindness and love and educate them and care for them and take them to school and change diapers and sleepless nights and all of that. Well, imagine tomorrow he's a 25-year-old or her, um, and she's like, oh, yeah, but you were a bad mother because you didn't. And you're like, I did my best. You don't even have the slightest idea what I had to go through so you get where you are.
Yes.
So if we don't like that, then why are we doing it to them?
Right.
They did their best also. And let's not forget, the war was what, 100 years ago? Our grandparents were in the war.
Right.
They were children without fathers, without mothers. They went through famine. We don't know famine. We throw away food every day. We don't know famine. You have obviously in US, you had the war and the bombing and all of that. Here, the same in Romania, the Romanian army, they went, I don't know, like thousands of miles on foot to come back home. Can you imagine walking
Oh,
thousands of miles?
oh my gosh. No, I can't.
Months, months of, and it was the same for you. There were people that had to walk for days and weeks and months to get home. And now we're privileged and we have internet and we're like, they didn't do enough. You don't
Mm,
know how it is to know that there was a bomb at Pearl Harbor and you don't know if your husband is living or not, or if your child is still living or not. You don't know the panic, you don't know the sorrow, you don't know the grief, you don't know the fear. So how can you judge?
such amazing perspective. Amazing, amazing perspective. That is definitely going to shift the mindset of our listeners who are still living in in the victim mindset. And again, this is not to downplay anyone's story, but I mean, you're listening to what our ancestors went through. It's nothing,
Mm,
nothing compared to what we've been through.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, let's think that the women couldn't vote
Hmm.
a couple of years ago. Literally, from when humanity started, from when women had the right to vote and work and have their own bank account, is like little step.
Right,
Yeah, let's not forget slavery.
right,
Those were hard lives. Who are we now to come and say, "Oh, I am God and nobody helped me and I'm a self-made millionaire"? No,
right,
you're not. You're a self-made millionaire because of your mother and of your father. Oh, but they didn't treat me and I had to fight for everything. And you fought and now you have. They were
right.
in your service for you to grow.
And it's just like when you were talking, I got the chills because I'm thinking of what a great honor it is to be alive right now, to be the one to, almost restore. Because what I truly believe is that as we go through this healing of the trauma and breaking these curses, we're not just doing it for us. We're doing it for the
It
ones who
stops
couldn't
with us.
speak. We're doing for the ones who couldn't do the things that, who wanted to go for their dreams, but they couldn't. The ones
Yeah,
that wanted to speak up when their abuser was abusing them, but they couldn't. So,
yeah,
what an honor and privilege it is for us to be where we are now, where we take accountability and we just start to allow healing to come forth so that we can do it not just for us, for those before us and those after us.
exactly. We are, if we take a moment to just recognize how fortunate we are that we were born now, not 100 years ago or 500 years ago. We can do this and we can reconcile all of the pain and the hurt that is still stuck in our family system because nobody took the time to look at it.
Right.
And that says a lot about about what we are supposed to be doing, you know. We all have our day jobs. I have a day job, you have a day job, everyone has day jobs. But in the evening, if we can allocate just 30 minutes at looking at how fortunate we are and how we can, I don't want to say fix because I don't really like that, but how we can heal ourselves, our relationships, um, and ensure that our children are not going to pay for what we don't have the courage to confront now.
Right.
Because if we don't do the work, they will do the work. And if they don't do the work, their children are going to do the work. Someone
Exactly.
will do the work at one point, but wouldn't it be nice to spare them? Wouldn't it be nice for us to feel fulfilled?
Yes. Now, I'm thinking, so when people come to this session, do they have to have some type of belief? Like, do they have to believe that these things happen, or, have you seen clients come in and they're just like, I just want to be healed, don't necessarily have a belief system that's, spiritual. But in order for it to work, in order for this process to work and to start happening, is there a belief that's required?
There's only one belief that is required, and that belief is the willingness to accept the possibility that you will have to honor your parents.
Mm, mm,
Without that, we can work, but it's not going to reach to you. It's not going to reach your soul. Everyone else is going to take from that constellation, but not you. Um, as I said, my mentor, she's a doctor, and she actually was telling us that she had a gentleman emailing her all over and over. He emailed her like, I don't know, 5 times every day. Like every day was an email, and she didn't have time, so she kept reading the emails that he was sending. And the guy was like, I'm really sick. This is my diagnosis. I want to heal. I need to heal. I'm going to do whatever you say, whatever treatment. I want to come to Constellations, and I'm going to be there 100%. Just tell me what I need to do. And we have a talent, the family constellation facilitators. We as I said, we can connect with people. Yeah. So she read the emails, connected to his energy, and she replied back only a sentence. For that to happen, you need to be willing to honor your father. For your healing to happen, you need to be willing to honor your father. And he replied back, thanks. Never came to a workshop, never went to her, nothing.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we go from, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do, but I'm not going to honor my father.
Mhm.
And sometimes, not always, but sometimes we say, I hate my father, I hate my mother, I don't want to deal with them, blah, blah, blah. And then we get sick. And what sits behind that sickness is actually, I'm trying to put it in words so people don't think I'm crazy. What sits behind that symptom is our soul decision or our soul intention to save that father from the hate that I'm feeling.
Mm.
And on a soul level, I make an agreement that I'm going to die instead of you, so you don't feel my hate towards you.
Wow.
And obviously there are multiple layers, because there also I want to save him from his life and from his behavior and from his destiny and from his whatever, or hers. Yeah. So there are multiple layers there. But that's how, again, like my mentor says, we die like stupid people, like literally. And we die because of ego, because we don't want to honor where life came from. And if we're not honoring where our life came from, that life is not going to be sustainable. One way or another is not going to be sustainable. And we're going to suffer.
That makes so much sense. And what comes up for me, like when you stated that, was the scripture, honor your father and mother. For you doing that, I think your days will be long or extended and something like that.
Yes.
Like, hello,
That's
that's
all we have to do. That's all we
Wow.
have to do. Silence the monkey, drop in our soul, and honor them.
Wow. So honoring them is a big part of our healing. Are we listening, ladies and gentlemen? You want healing, you want to move forward in life, you want to grow, you want to expand, you want to be successful, but there's one thing that keeps stopping you. We are not honoring our mother or our father. That is, wow. Wow. That's really good, Andrea. I've never thought of it in that way.
And we can do this, even if they're dead, we can do this. We can reconcile them in our soul. One of my constellation, well, it wasn't actually my constellation, it was someone else's constellation, but it was my constellation also. It was just that I wasn't the client. Everything else was the same.
Okay.
But I wanted to die instead of my father.
Mm,
When my father died, the pain was so much that I wanted to die instead of him. And that's irrational because you can't die someone else's death. How can
right.
you die someone else's death? You can't. But on a soul level, my soul was there in the tomb next to him,
Mm,
or part of my soul. I would better say part of my soul.
right.
And why was it there? Because I wanted to save him from his death. How can you save your parents from their death? You can't. But when you look at it in a constellation setting where you see the representatives moving and you're like, oh my God, shut the F up. That is me. That is exactly how I behave. That is exactly how he was behaving. That's exactly what he's used to sound like. Yeah. Something happens, and probably because it's so visual when we are in constellations, like the brain sees what you couldn't see because you're basically then you're stepping in when we're doing the constellation, you're also in the observator space, and you're just observing and absorbing what's
Mm,
happening.
okay.
And your mind starts to make connections. Oh my God, so that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm doing that, and that's why, yeah. So for me, I wasn't even aware that I wanted to die for him, basically.
Okay.
I had the behaviors, yeah. I never done anything to harm myself, but the thoughts were there. Why? Because I miss him. Behind everything that we're talking about sits the deep sorrow that we miss our parents. We miss their hugs. We miss their kisses. We miss their eyes, their feeling, just because I missed him. But
Right.
I can still miss him and love him, but live my life. Because they don't want that. Our parents don't want us to die for them. Our parents don't want us to suffer for them. They don't want us to sacrifice for them.
Right.
So we need to look at where is our soul looking at who, and reconcile. But if we manage to reconcile just those two, just the mother and the father, as I said, they don't even have to be alive. And sometimes they are alive and you can't communicate with them because, different generations. But you do that on a soul level. With my mother, oh, my mother, bless her. I don't know how that woman is still alive through everything that I've put her through. Now I can see that. But we had a very, very complicated relationship. I was very spirited, very antagonizing. I never wanted to do anything from what she said. I was the problem child, the black sheep of the family. And we went through like years of no contact. So it was a very, very difficult relationship. And after all this work that I've done, I went this year and spent a week with her. After I think I haven't spent any time with her in 2 or 3 years, something like that. I did saw her for like 24 hours here and there, but not longer than that.
Okay.
And it was the most amazing week of my life. And there was a point where I just wanted to be her child again. I didn't want to be the adult. Although I'm 40, I was like, I just want to be her child.
Mm-hmm.
So she was in the bedroom at one point and in the evening. So I went to her and I was like, can I just sit with you on your chest in bed with you, like when I was little? And she was like, oh, I have to turn around. My knee hurts. But she did turn around and I just sat there at her chest, thinking and imagining that 40 years ago I was this big, this big. And it filled me with joy. And she is the way she is. And she couldn't sit still for me. She had to fidget, play with the phone. So I was in this, very emotional state, but I could feel her, that she couldn't stay still. And I told her, I said, okay, after a couple of minutes, I said, okay, mom, I'm going to go to I see you're fidgeting, so I'm going to go back to my room. And she said, stay 2 more minutes. She
Aww.
pulled me closer. Now, why that happened is because I relinquished the control for her to be different than the way she is. And I said, it's okay. I'll go back to my room. Stay 2 more minutes.
That's so cute.
How great and how gracious can a mother be to say, stay 2 more minutes? For my mind, it was 2 more minutes. For my soul, it was absolute gold. And after all that journey, for me to stay a week with my mother, not fight, not get triggered. I didn't even get triggered. And not because she didn't say the same things, it's because I didn't have the triggers anymore. I didn't have the buttons to push. She's still the same. She said the same things like she always says that before were bothering me. Now they're not. So nothing changed except me agreeing that she is the way she is and I am the best version of her and my dad. And with them in my heart and my soul, I can do anything and everything. And I can find peace.
So good. That's a beautiful story. And I can only imagine how you felt when she just stayed 20 minutes. Okay. Such a sweet and wholesome moment because you decided not to force. You didn't want to make her uncomfortable. You said, it's okay. I see you're fidgeting. And she's like, no, just 2 more minutes.
Yeah,
So,
because I relinquished control. I didn't want to change anything. I just said, it is what it is. Okay, I'm going. Stay 2 more minutes. That allowed her to come towards me.
right. Hmm. I love that. So good, Andrea. So good, so good. Now, okay, so for those who are listening and are unsure about this service, what is one thing that you can say that will, get them to kind of feel a bit more comfortable in, maybe booking a session?
Family constellations and the work that I do, we do them with no judgment, with respect, and with dignity. The soul looks beyond good and bad, right and wrong, who's guilty, who's not guilty. It just looks at what it is. And it does take courage. But if I did it, anyone can do it. Trust me. Anyone can do it. And it's a journey that when you're going to look back on, you're going to be, wow, how amazing it feels today to have my parents with me, regardless of the history, regardless of the story, and just be happy and content that you exist because of them.
I love that. So
That's it.
good. So this has been so good, Andrea. This has been really, really good, really deep, really insightful. I mean, just amazing. I really hope that the listeners are really listening, like really listening to what you are saying. And I know it takes work, but it's possible. Just open your heart, accept, and just book that session.
Yeah.
I do want to
Or
go
join the
into,
community.
oh, okay, tell us about, well, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I do have two more segments of this podcast, and then we'll begin to wrap it up. The first one is piece of the puzzle. I believe everyone has a piece of the puzzle. Their story, their history always has a role to play in humanity. Who do you
Mm.
believe was a piece of the puzzle for you in your life?
Oh, wow. I think a piece of the puzzle, really important for me, is Bert Hellinger, who is the father of Family Constellations. And I watched some of the videos, but my mentor trained with him. And you can see it in the videos, but also she would tell us when he used to say, my mother, everyone in the room would start crying.
Oh, wow.
And he died when he was 94, but at 92
Wow.
years old, he was holding workshop constellations in Brazil with 1,000 people.
Wow.
He was very loved there. And um, I absolutely love and adore him.
Oh, wow. So awesome. I mean, he lived a long life and a fruitful, helpful life. So that's amazing to hear. Okay, so the next segment is soul snacks. Okay, so this is gonna be the first thing that comes to your mind is what I want you to answer with, right? It's a little lighthearted, a little fun because we had a very deep conversation, so I kind of like to just shift it before we wrap it up. Okay, if your family had a slogan, what would it be?
First do, then think.
Okay.
That was
Wow.
my slogan, at least. Didn't really thought about consequences.
Okay, well, at least you're being honest. At least you're being honest. Okay, what's a family phrase you grew up hearing that still lives rent-free in your mind?
What's a what?
What's a family phrase you grew up hearing that still lives rent-free in your mind?
Oh, well, my mom too we used to say to my dad to get all the spiders out of the house. And he always said, it's just a little spider. And my mom's and I say that also. I'm like, if he doesn't pay here, he doesn't live here. So
Oh, that's good.
that yeah, if he doesn't pay rent, they need to go out.
I love that. I love that. All right. So the next one is this is my favorite. I ask everyone this just because I love it. Because it has to do with food. Okay, so what is one comfort food that you go to when you're having like a long day? I get the weirdest answers,
Mm.
honestly. I got one, a cucumber.
Pumpkin seeds.
What is it? Pumpkin seeds? Okay.
Pumpkin seeds. Roasted and salted pumpkin seeds
Do you eat the shell or do you not eat
without the shell. Without the
without the
shell.
shell? Oh, okay, okay. Because some people like to eat the shell. It's a little difficult.
I know sometimes, but 99% of the time without the shell. But that's the comfort food for me. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay, okay. And what is last one? Can you name a funny situation that may have taken place? And maybe not. Maybe you don't have one in one of your sessions. A funny situation that happened in one of your sessions.
Uh, the
If you can
funniest
share.
one,
Hmm.
yes, the funniest one it didn't happen in one of my sessions, but it happened in a session.
Okay.
Um, and there was I can't remember exactly what the constellation was about, but it was about the relationship in the couple with him and her.
Okay.
And the representative of the husband was clean shaved. And the energy got a little bit sexual there. And at one point, he was like, the representative was like, I need her to do something to me, like she needs to be more aggressive with me, like pull my hair. And he was like doing like this, but he was absolutely bald. And he was just like, pull my hair. And then we were like, what hair? We don't even have hair to pull.
Oh
And
my
it was
God.
very, very funny.
Oh my gosh. That had to have been so funny. I can't imagine being in one of those situations. I would have laughed. I can't think.
Oh yes, we were all on the floor. Like we had to recompose ourselves after that moment.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so good. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, that was fun. Okay, so how can we find you, Andrea? How can they book a session with you? Do you have any product, your social media, your community? Let our listeners know.
Yes. So I am on Instagram mainly, but also on Facebook, Andrea Lupulescu 99. And I also have a school community. So I'm literally just starting that now, creating some courses there, and is free to join. And then it's the lowest tier is $7 a month. Like
Okay.
that's what a coffee um cost of a coffee. Um, but it's for people to come and know what we're talking about, take some of the free courses, ask questions, participate in the Q&A, see what lies beyond what you see. Beyond the monkey is the soul.
I love that. So good. Well, there you have it, listeners, ladies and gentlemen. I truly believe this was an amazing interview. I mean, I've never heard of family constellations, but now that, we are more familiar with it, I feel like it is a process that we all should really be seeking. And, just with the information that she provided today will begin to help you on your journey of healing, your family trauma and your family pain. And so, listen, it is an honor. to be where we are. I'm going to go back to that moment. It is an honor to be where we are with the power, with the tools, with the resources that we have to make the pain stop with us. So if you don't hear anything else, understand that it is a privilege to be where we are. And so with that being said, until next time, I am your coach and your host, Giovanna Cirillo. Thank you so much, Andreea.
A pleasure.